You've almost certainly heard of it, right? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. For nearly a century, this book has been the blueprint for success for so many people. But let's be real. In the 90 years since it was published, the world has changed a lot. So we're asking the big question. Is this book still a timeless guide to wealth, or is it just an artifact from a bygone era?
The entire book really boils down to this one powerful, almost radical idea. Hill's whole argument was that what happens inside your mind, your desires, your faith, your persistence, that's what directly creates your reality. It's not about luck or where you came from. It's all about mastering your internal world to shape the one outside.
And yeah, that's the central question we're tackling. In a world with super complex economic systems, global markets, and totally new ideas about teamwork and fairness, does the simple power of thought still hold up? Let's put it to the test.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the book's origin story, dive deep into its famous 6 steps, then we'll compare the mastermind idea to modern teamwork and tackle that huge debate, mindset versus system. And then, at the end, we'll leave the final verdict up to you.
You know, to really get Think and Grow Rich, you have to understand the world it was born into. This wasn't some book written in a time of booming prosperity. No, it was literally forged in the fire of economic collapse. It offered this radical message of self-empowerment right when people felt they had absolutely no power at all.
So just look at this timeline. The book lands right smack in the middle of the Great Depression, and this context is everything. Hill's promise wasn't just about getting rich, it was about giving people a feeling of control, a tangible process for rebuilding their lives from the inside out, even when the world around them was in total chaos.
All right, let's move on to the first principle, because this is where the theory gets really practical. Hill argued that success doesn't start with just a wish. It starts with what he called a burning desire. And he laid out an exact formula, a step-by-step guide on how to create it.
So what's the difference between a wish and a burning desire? Well, according to Hill, a wish is passive. It's just a hope. A desire, on the other hand, is this intense, all-consuming obsession. It's the engine that powers every other principle in the book. It is the absolute, non-negotiable starting point.
And here's where it gets really concrete. This isn't just about wanting it really bad. Hill lays out a 6-step algorithm for it. Think about it in today's world, like someone launching a startup. They set a precise funding goal. That's step 1. They outline the equity they'll give up. Step 2. They target a launch date. Step 3. They create a detailed business plan. That's step 4. They write out their mission statement. Step 5. And they live and breathe that mission every single day. Step 6. It's a surprisingly timeless formula for turning a big dream into a real project. Okay, now for a concept that sparks a ton of debate, the mastermind. Hill was a huge believer in the power of a small, trusted group. But how does his 1930s vision of a harmonious little alliance stack up against what we now know about building high-performing teams?
You gotta give Hill credit. His mastermind idea was pretty revolutionary for its time. He understood that nobody succeeds alone, but his main focus was on harmony, on getting everyone to think alike. Today, modern research shows us that the real breakthroughs actually happen with cognitive diversity. You know, when engineers, artists, and marketers all tackle the same problem from completely different angles. But that only works if you have psychological safety, creating a space where people can voice a crazy idea or challenge the boss or even admit they made a mistake without fear of being shut down. That's the bedrock of modern innovation. So while Hill was right about needing a team, our definition of a great team has fundamentally changed.
And this brings us to what's probably the biggest challenge for Hill's philosophy in the 21st century. The whole book is built on the power of the individual. But here's the question. Are desire and persistence really enough when you're facing systemic barriers? I mean, the core argument is right here. Your main battlefield is internal. If you can conquer your own fears, your doubts, your indecision, then the external world will just fall into place. It's a message of ultimate, radical personal responsibility.
But here's the counterargument. Can a powerful mindset really overcome things like economic inequality or systemic bias or just plain old bad luck? This is where the 1937 philosophy really clashes with the complex realities of today.
So, what we have are 2 competing ideas. Hill's philosophy says success is an inside game, driven by things like desire and faith. The modern critique, though, argues that while your mindset definitely matters, external forces, like the economy you're born into, systemic bias, and privilege, well, they play a massive role that mindset alone can't always overcome. So, after weighing all the evidence, where do we actually land? It seems like Think and Grow Rich isn't a simple case of right or wrong. It's probably better to see it as a powerful tool with some very specific uses and some pretty clear limitations.
So, what are the big takeaways here? First, the book's Depression-era context is absolutely key to understanding its message of hope. Second, those practical exercises for focusing your desire, they're still incredibly relevant. But its ideas on teamwork have evolved a lot, and its laser focus on mindset is definitely challenged by our modern understanding of systemic issues.
Ultimately, we come back to this central, enduring idea. Whether you agree with all of it or not, Hill's insistence that success is a process that you can control, starting with your own thoughts, well, that's the reason this book has captivated millions of people for nearly a century. And so we're going to leave the final verdict to you. Is that six-step formula for desire a tool you can genuinely use today? Is the mastermind concept just a relic of the past? Maybe the most valuable way to read Think and Grow Rich now is to decide for yourself what to keep and what to leave behind.